how DCEO reviews the process, and what it actually looks like to the public once a contract has been submitted, approved, and posted. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this screen, and we'll get going. Okay. So as you all probably know, the purpose of this webinar is to announce the method to report all Workforce Investment Act contracts and contract values, as well as enrollment registration agreements and their values in the new reporting system available on WorkNet. Chuck Dooley is joining us today and is the program administrator for this reporting process. So he's going to discuss some important items regarding this policy. So Chuck, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Kendra.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kendra mentioned, there's a new reporting requirement. It was included in the, there was an amendment to the WIA Act that was passed earlier this year that requires you that requires us to report all contracts and contract values for all workforce development training and service providers. This applies to WIA only, including rapid response and any training expenditures you charge to the incentive grant. It does not apply to non-WIA funding sources such as trade. One distinction I want to make is that there are two types of contracts that are to be reported. You have your service provider contracts, and then you have your training expenditure contract. Enrollment or registration agreements. So you've got your service providers, and then you've got your training provider contracts. The service provider contracts, first of all, what is a service provider? A service provider is a subgrantee that provides services to participants. It would not include vendors. It would include, for example, a one-stop operator that provides core and intensive services. Your service providers are going to be subject to the federal regulations and to monitoring. For service providers, the amount that would be reported is the entire value of the contract, not the amount paid. It'll be the entire value of the contract. One thing I want to point out about the service provider contracts is that they don't necessarily coincide with the program year. For the applicable reporting period for this fall will be the program year ending June 30th, 2012. So you may have service provider contracts that don't coincide with the program year. Like they may span 2 years. If that's the case, you should still report the entire contract amount. There are fields in the reporting report the entire contract and just enter the beginning and end dates of the contract. The same way, likewise, if the contract only spans a few months of the program year that we're reporting for. For example, if the contract, for whatever reason, started June 1st, 2012, only 1 month of the contract would fall under the reporting requirement. However, it would just be misleading and burdensome to report just the 1 month. So you should still report the entire contract and put the contract period, June 1st, 2012 through May 31st, 2013, whatever it may be. For enrollment and registration agreements for training providers, you want to report the total amount of expenditures net of refunds for the training provider during the program year ending June 30th, 2012. And when you enter the dates, you can enter the dates, July 1st, 2011 through June 30th, 2012. One thing I want to clarify about the training provider contracts or expenditures is that they would not include OJT. Although OJT is considered direct training, the contract is with the employer, not the training provider. And we don't want to necessarily enter, I mean, it may be useful information, but we don't necessarily want to enter a bunch of employers into IWDS and Illinois WorkNet. For similar reasons, IWT, incumbent worker training, would also be excluded. Normally, IWT participants are not WIA eligible participants, and normally the IWT contract is with the employer. Reporting is driven by the type of contract, the provider, and the location, not by the funding stream or by the program year. You don't have to report by funding stream or program year. So when you report your training provider expenditures, some of it's going to be charged to 11, some of it's going to be charged to 10 for the reporting period in question ending June 30, 2012. Some of it may be charged to rapid response. Some of it you may charge to your incentive grant. But you do not have to report by program year or by funding stream. It's all driven by the type of contract, the provider, and the location. Contracts and expenditures for a single provider may be combined for reporting. However, service provider contracts must be reported separately of the training provider contracts. Reporting can also be combined if a training or service provider has multiple locations. The location that should be used should be the one associated with the largest share of expenditures. And if the location isn't in the drop-down menu in the reporting application, you'll have to add it. You'll have to add the location so that you can add the contract. To give an example, WIA 11 may send participants to training at Joliet Junior College. So they'll have enrollment agreements and registration agreements that they'll report in total for Joliet Junior College in Will County. However, they also have a service provider contract with Joliet Junior College to run the one-stop in Grundy County. So in this case, they'll have two separate entries. They'll have a total for training provider, enrollment agreements, registration agreements for the year ending June 30, 2012 that they report for Joliet Junior College. I assume for the campus in Joliet. On the other hand, they'll have one service provider contract that they'll report for Joliet Junior College for the location in Grundy County. So you're not only reporting by contract, whether it's service provider or training provider, but you're also reporting by the provider and the location. Another example is training provider microtrain. They have multiple locations, and you may send your participants to all of them or just one of them. In that case, the training expenditures should be reported under the location that is preferably in the county and associated with the largest share of the expenditures. So that part's a little bit confusing. So hopefully that's clear. And if we have, if there are any questions, we could take them at the end of the webinar. A couple other things I wanted to point out. All amounts reported are subject to monitoring and verification. If you recall, when you did your Section 1512 reporting for ERA, we requested supporting documentation for those amounts. We'll do the same for this. It'll either be done on site as part of the monitoring or probably we'll just request the information from everybody at one time. The deadline for reporting this year is December 31st, 2012. This year's the exception, of course, because the notice didn't go out until November. However, otherwise, the normal reporting deadline would be October 31st, and I believe the reason that was chosen was because it coincides with the release of our annual report, and it's several months after the end of the previous program year. right now, and it hopefully answers a lot of your questions. So I'll hand it back to Kendra for now.
Okay. Thanks, Chuck. And like I said earlier, go ahead and enter your questions in the chat pod as we go through. And once the webinar is over with, we will have, definitely some more questions and answers time at the end. So thank you very much, Chuck. And I'm going to go ahead and hide. Oops, I hid the wrong one. Okay, I'm going to expand my screen so that you can all see. Okay. One of the documents in your file share, like I said, is this PowerPoint. And you can see on this page that it has the link to the actual policy as well as Chuck's email address. So once you download that and save it to your computer, you will be able to actually just click on that link and it will take you directly to the policy and you can read over it. There is also the PDF available for you of the policy itself. So you can access it two ways. Okay? So let's get started. I'm just going to take you through a brief PowerPoint of the steps, and then I'm going to take you into a live demo and show you how to create a brand new contract as well as update an existing one. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm sure all of you know how to log into your Workforce Professional Pathway, so that's what you're going to want to do first. You have to have a WorkNet account, obviously. But from the home page, you'll click on your Workforce and Education Partners link. Once on the Workforce Partner Pathway, you will want to find the WIA Contract Summary Reporting link, which is located to the left of the screen in the left side menu. Okay. Once you click on that link, you're going to be directed to a search page. You can said both methods during the live demo, but for this PowerPoint, I'm going to take you first through how to add the new contract, and then I'm going to take you in and show you how to search for an existing contract. Okay? So what you would want to do first from the search screen is just simply click on Add a New Contract if that's what you're wanting to do. Okay, you will see an empty form in which you have to fill in some requested fields. Here you'll want to select the WIA that you're with, the provider type, which would be service or training. You'd want to enter in a contract name, a contract description, the amount of the contract, and a contract start date and end date. Once you've completed that, you can click on the button Save, and that will save that contract. It will not be submitted. It will just be saved at that point. In order to find the provider that you are looking for, I'm going to go back to the screen real quick. You see this button. I'm going to get my pointer. This provider search button, once you've entered in your WIA number and you want to search for a provider, an existing provider, you would click on that button. Once you click on that button, this is the screen that you're going to see, and this is your search for provider screen. You would want to enter in the city that you're wanting to find, right here, and then click Search. Once you have clicked on the search button, you will see you should see a list of several different results or several different providers. So you can see here within the Springfield area, you get the Capital Area Career Center, Lawrence Education Center, Levi Ray. So you should get a list of different results based on your search criteria. Okay? Once you have selected which provider you want, you would literally click on this select link located to the left of the provider name. Okay? It will now take you into a contract details page. So by clicking on that select link, it has taken you into an entire page with all of the information created. Okay? Okay, once you have, like I said, once you have selected your provider, you're going to want to follow the steps that I just showed you, and that was the provider type, which can be service or training. Again, you'll have to enter in all of this information. You would click Save once you're ready for it to be approved. Just give me 1 second here. Okay, if you'll notice here, you see a green type ribbon at the top of your page. So once you have actually saved that contract with the provider and it was successful, you're going to see a ribbon at the top of the page that displays that you actually have combined it and it is successful. Okay? You also have an option to delete. So if you've created a contract and you have saved it, it has been submitted and approved. At that point, the program administrator will have to come in and delete it. But until it is submitted and approved, you still have the option of deleting the new contract that you created. Once you've filled in all of this information, as you can see right here, there is a link to add a new contract. So you can, from right here, if you have multiple contracts that you need to add, you can either do it from that search page, or you can just simply click, once you're done with the one new contract that you created, you can, from this page, go on and add a new one. Okay, once your contract has been saved, you will see an Actions and History tab. And at this point, you can go in. You don't have to submit it yet if you want to continue to make updates or edits to it. But if you're ready to submit it, you would want to click on your Actions and History. And here, for the action type, you can select to send an email to the program administrator, add a note. You can click Submit based on the status of the current contract that you're working on. So the Actions in History is where you'll want to go if you are wanting to basically take some action steps, and that's either sending an email. Maybe you have some questions for Chuck on a contract that you're working on. Just want to add some additional notes, or you want to submit it for approval. Okay, once you have submitted the request for approval, an automated email will be sent to Chuck asking for him to approve it, review it, and approve it. So this is what the automated email will look like. It's Dear Program Administrator, and so on and so forth. So he's going to look at this. It's going to provide him a link that takes him directly to the targeted contract to be reviewed. So upon review, you will actually get an email back that will either have any sort of notes that maybe you need to update the contract, it can't be approved yet, or you might just simply get an approval email. If you get the approval email, it will look something like that. Dear WIA contact, your contract, student safety, student, so on and so forth, has been approved. There may be some additional text here, my pointer, in the middle of the email, automated email. So that's what it will look like once you have submitted a new contract for approval. Now you can create a new contract, save it, and then go in and access it to maybe finish it one. You create it, you fill in all the necessary information. Once you are ready to submit it for approval, you will go into Actions and History. From there, you can click Submit. It will go to Chuck. Chuck can review it, and you will get an email based on his response. So whether it's approved or maybe some updates need to be made. If updates need to be made, then you will make those updates, save them, and click Submit for him to review it again. Okay? Once a new contract has been approved, it will be housed within WIA Works on the summary reporting page so the public can view it. This is just a screenshot of what that page looks like. And like I said, if you download the PDF of this PowerPoint, the link down here is a clickable link and will take you directly to that WIA Works summary reporting page, just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. But once a contract has been submitted and approved, it will be on display within WIA Works. Okay, if you're wanting to search an existing contract, you're back on that, basically that same search page that we started out with, but this time you're not going to search on adding a new contract. You're just going to want to put in your LWIA information. You may want to select a provider. You may want to select a status. The only thing that is required is the LWIA number. You can add this information in, the additional information. It will help narrow your search. So if you're looking for a specific contract, if I put in, LWIA 25, I may get a really, really, really long list. But if I fill in these fields, that would narrow that for me. So that's up to you, but you can put in a date range or any keywords that are associated with the contract that you're looking for. But this is just searching an existing contract. So you would want to put in, for sure, your LWIA number. Okay, like I said, once you put in your LWIA number, you will get a list of all of the contracts associated with that. Click on this Select link that is located next to the LWIA. I know this might be hard to see, but again, I'm going to show you during the live demo how to access all of this. And then you're going to go into a screen that kind of looked like the other one when you were creating a new contract, but this one is already filled out. You don't have to fill out anything here. You can make updates to this. So for instance, if the contract is spans over multiple years, instead of having to create new contracts each time the contract is renewed, or you can just go in here, make your updates, click Save. Once you've clicked Save, again, you're going to want to go back into the Actions and History. Modifications made. So they're very similar. This one, though, if you're just wanting to find an existing one, it's already going to be filled out. You can go in and make modifications if necessary. Yep, and like I said, here's the Actions and the History page, so you're going to want to do the same thing here when you're ready to submit that. You have the same options. And then finally, again, same with an existing. If that existing contract has been updated, saved, submitted, and approved, that the updated contract will show within WIA Works summary reporting page. Okay, so they're very similar. Most of the steps are. Okay, so that does it for the PowerPoint. I'm going to take you in now and show you a live demo. So let me share my screen. Okay, and again, can all of you see my screen okay? You should see the Workforce Partner Pathway homepage. Can you go ahead and raise your hand or just say yes in the chat pod if you can see it okay? See my screen okay? All right. Okay, so like I said, I know that most of you know how to get to this point, the Workforce Partner Pathway. So from here, excuse me, we're going to scroll down until we find the WIA Contract Summary Reporting link. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And here is your search page. So you can either add a new contract or you can search for an existing one. First, I'm just going to show you how to add a new contract like I went through in the PowerPoint. So I'm going to click on Add a New Contract. Okay, from here, you see the form that you have to fill in. So first thing I'm going to do is select my WIA. I'll do WIA 25. And then it's going to ask for a provider search. So I need to find the provider for this contract. So once I click on that provider search button, a new page opens up, and this is the provider search page. So I'm actually going to click on, or I'm just going to fill in Springfield. Click Search. You can add in any additional keywords that might help. But here is my list of providers in the Springfield area. Based on my search criteria, these are the search results that I received. So I'm going to, from here, click on Select. I want to basically connect my contract, my new contract, with one of these providers. So if I click on the Capital Area Career Center, I select that, you will now see this ribbon, this green ribbon that goes across the screen that says successfully selected a provider for this contract. That means they are now tied, they're connected. Okay, so now you have this much filled in basically on your form. You have your WIA and you have provider information. Moving down the screen, you will want to choose your provider type. That can be service or training. The contract name. Moving down the form, amount, so $36,400. I'm going to enter in a start date. We'll go ahead and just do December 1st of 2012 to December 1st of 2013. And there are calendar pickers that make it very easy for you to enter that information in. Okay, once you've filled out this form with the number, the WIA number, you've chosen your provider, you've chosen your provider type, you've entered in the contract title, you've entered in a description, contract amount, and a start and end date, you would click on Save. Okay. At this point, you can go into your actions and history, like I had mentioned before. From the actions and history, you would choose a different, based on basically your level, you will have different options here. I am logged in as myself. I'm not logged in as an WIA, so I'm not going to see the things that you are going to see. But if you had saved, that contract, you would actually have a submit option here where you could submit the contract for approval. But again, because I'm not an WIA and I'm logged in as myself, you don't see that. But this is where you would see that submit. But you can send an email, you can add a note to a contract that you'd already sent. So you'd have different options here. However, you don't have to go straight into the actions and history right away. Like I said, if you click Save, maybe you're not done filling it in yet. Maybe you want to add more to the description. So you just click Save, and then from here you would search for an existing contract because this one now has become existing. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. Okay, if you want to submit this for approval though, like I said, you would go into the Actions and History page. You would click on Submit. As mentioned, an email will be sent to Chuck. Chuck will then review the new contract. He will either approve it, or he will send you back an email with some updates or modifications needed before he can approve it. But you will be sent an email with that notification on whether it was approved or updates needed. If updates are needed, you would create to this page and submit it again. Okay? So that's how to add a new contract. Mike Parsons is on the line. I want to make sure I haven't left anything out as far as adding new, adding a new contract. I don't think I have. Maybe he's not on. But anyway, I'm going to take you now and show you how to find an existing contract. So again, we're going to go back to this WIA contract summary reporting link here in your left side navigation. Okay, now instead of adding a new contract, you're going to search for one. So I'm going to select WIA 25. And again, the rest of this information is optional. You do have to put your WIA number in. If you want to narrow your search, then I recommend you entering in that additional information. But what is required is your WIA number. So I've entered in my WIA number. I'm going to click on search. So again, I get the list now of WIA contracts and provider names based on my WIA number. So you can see this list. I'm going to go ahead and click on this first one. I'm going to click on the select right next to the Mantricon Corporation. It's going to open up. And like I said, this form is already filled out. You don't have to, this is an existing form. So maybe that form that you were working on previously, you want to come back in and you want to edit, that's how you would do it. I'm going to go back here. So you're going to put in your WIA number. You've already tied it to a provider at this point, so you would maybe want to, there's the provider I tied it to, so I can click on Capital Area Career Center and click search, and that's going to narrow it. So I can find 3 results with Capital Area Career Center, and I'll find the one that I was actually working on before. You can either update an existing one that you're currently kind of working on, or you can just go back and just find one that, you weren't working on. Maybe you just want to review it. Maybe you want to read the details about it. But go ahead and click on the select. Like I said, that form page will show all of the information is filled in. You can either just review the contract details from this page, or you can update them. Maybe the start date and end date needs to be updated, or the amount of money needs to be updated, something, or the description. Maybe some more description needs to be added. Like I had mentioned earlier, for contracts that span okay, once you click that Save button, your Actions and History tab will appear. You won't see it until you click Save. Okay, if you've updated that existing contract and you're ready for submission and approval, go ahead and click into your Actions and History. Click on an action type, and again, you're in WIA. If you've saved that document, if you've saved that contract, then you'll have a Submit option. You'll click that Submit option. Automated email goes to Chuck. He clicks on the link that's provided to him for the targeted contract. He reviews it, and he either approves it or he requests additional information, but you will get an email back to you with the status. And from that point, you can go in and do any necessary changes you need to, or you can actually just view the contract. And I will show you actually. Try to do this the best way I know how without. So if you're on the WorkNet page, go into WIA Works, and you will see a WIA contract summary reporting page. That is where the approved, there aren't any right now because this, again, this is just being rolled out. But this is the page you'll want to come to view all contracts that have been entered into WorkNet. You won't see all the options that, the public will not see the options that you see as an that are associated with the contract that they're interested in. But this is the page for the WIA contract summary reporting through WIA Works. Okay. So I think that's pretty much does it. Again, you can find the WIA contract summary reporting page from the left side navigation of the Workforce Partner Pathway. You can either add a new contract, view an existing, or update an existing contract. The process is the submission and approval process for both is basically done the same way. When you're adding a new contract, you just have to fill in all of the information. You don't have to submit it as soon as you save it. You can save it and come back to it. There is an option, and I think I talked about this during the PowerPoint. I just want to make sure I hit everything here. Let me see. Okay, there is this option down here to delete. And as I mentioned before, if you have saved your contract, the contract that you're working on, if you've saved it, you can delete it. You can go in and delete it. Maybe you just want to start all over. But that probably is going to be a rarity. But just so you know, you do see that delete button. However, once it's submitted and approved, you don't have that option anymore. It's up to the program administrator at that point. Again, you have this new contract button here. Remember, you have that from the search page, and you have it at the end of the contract details page. So if you're wanting to fill out multiple contracts, you don't have to go back to the search page. You can just literally go ahead and click on New Contract, and you have a blank form to begin filling out. Okay, are there any questions? Do I need to go over anything during the demo? Is it making sense to you guys? I think once you get in and play around with it, it's pretty intuitive, so I don't think anybody will have a problem with it. Like I said, make sure you download the documents in the file pod. That'll be a great resource for you as you're going through and adding or updating contracts. Else, or do something again. Okay. I'm reading here the chat pod, so I'm going to try to answer some of these questions.
Yeah, Kendra, some of the questions are
Mhm.
about the notice. Can I go
Okay,
ahead and answer
sure.
those?
Yeah. Jump right in and handle that. Yep.
Yeah, people have been asking about reporting the LWIAs have the flexibility to report those and to accommodate the best way they can gather the information. And I agree, although I would prefer that they would be reported on an accrual basis, but I know that but that isn't, that's not a requirement of the IWIB amendment. In fact, we had, the IWIB amendment specifies contract values, so in the case of training provider contracts, meaning ITAs or enrollment agreements, we had to interpret that as expenditures incurred through the program year. So, yeah, if like you may have lump sum accruals that you do at year end from your accounting system. However, it should tie to your accounting system, and you should maintain supporting documentation because, like I said, we'll go in and verify or monitor those amounts that have been reported later. And then somebody also asked about one-stop contracts, like especially in the city of Chicago, and they're not going to report because they're no longer an WIA, but they may issue a contract to a one-stop operator or an Illinois WorkNet Center operator that includes amounts for ITAs. And I would say that amount, the full amount of the contract should be reported because it would be misleading not to omit that information. So you'd be reporting it twice because you'd be reporting it because it would be included as a line item in the contract budget for the one-stop operator, but you would also report the expenditures um, for the ITAs that were paid for the participants for each of the training providers. So like I said, those are two separate categories of information, and I think it would be misleading not to report, to omit either one from either one of the categories. And then one other question I had that somebody asked, and it's not related to the notice, but apparently there's a block in Illinois WorkNet that prevents you from submitting information or being assigned to a role if you haven't tomorrow. If you haven't taken the WorkNet training, you'll still be able to um, get access to the reporting application.
Okay. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah, and I want to, there's a question that just popped up from Robert.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be from LE1. It's going to be, the reporting is going to be July 1, 2011 through June 30, 2012. That's the reporting period for for the reporting that's due December 31st. That's in the notice that went out. So like I mentioned previously, for training expenditures, you'll report active during that period, and it may not necessarily be a 7/1 to 6/30/2012 contract. It could be a 2-year contract, but you'd report the entire contract, service provider contract.
All right. Any other questions? You want to
Yeah,
add anything, Chuck?
no, I think that's it. If anybody has any questions, you can email me later, if anybody thinks of any questions later, just send me an email.
Okay. All right. Again, if there's anything you guys would like me to go over or go back through. Oh, we got another one, Chuck.
The next reporting deadline after December 31st would be October 31st, and the reporting period would be June or July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2013. So I would recommend not reporting until after July 1st, 2013. And you know what all the amounts are. It probably wouldn't be a problem for the service provider contracts, but for the ITAs,
Okay. Somebody else is typing in. Robert is.
The reporting is, you can report through, the deadline is December 31st. Oh, and I just noticed a question from WIA 5. The ITAs, it's not 7/1 through 12/31. It's for the previous program year ending June 30th, 2012. So it's 7/1/11 through June 30th, 2012.
Another one just came in, Chuck. I don't know if you...
Right, and then
Okay.
going forward, the reporting deadline would be October 31st. So in October of next year, you'll be reporting for the period July 1st, 2012 through June 30th, 2013. The only reason it's different for this year, like I mentioned before, is that the notice didn't go out until a couple weeks ago. So we're already way past the October 31st deadline that would normally apply.
Okay. These are great questions. Glad Chuck is on here to answer them. Does anybody have any more questions? Oh, I see somebody does. Okay, well, once more, if there's anything you'd like me to review on the website, I'll be happy to do so. If not, you all are free to go. Once again, for those of you that might have come in a little bit late, make sure to of the files in the file pod in the lower left corner of your screen and use those as a resource later. We do have somebody typing in. We'll give them,
You know what,
hang on
Kendra,
here.
I was emailed another question.
Okay.
They wanted to know about the roles
Okay.
assigned in workNet for reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And the role of the person who would enter the information, that would be the organization administrator, right?
That would enter the information. Well, the LWIA coordinators and managers, from my understanding, can actually create, certain LWIAs to be able to enter contract information.
Okay, so it's more than one person.
Yes.
Or
yes.
more than one role, assigned role.
Okay. Right. Yes. I will definitely look into that, but I'm almost positive that's the way it goes. WIA coordinators or managers can designate who can enter and update contracts. Yes, multiple people can have access to doing that. It's not just one person. So, so Chuck, you're not going to have to enter all the information.
No, but because somebody, I guess, already went in there and they said that there were 3 roles. I think they said there were 6 roles, but there were 3 of the ones that that she figured were appropriate were WIA manager, organization administrator, and organization business manager for the contract reporting in WorkNet. Those are the roles in WorkNet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'll check. I will check up on that so that I can, let's see. I'm getting a chat in too. Hold on. Right, coordinator or manager are the ones that can assign roles.
Yeah, and then I guess the roles, somebody told me that the roles they can assign are WIA manager, organization administrator, and organization business
okay.
manager.
You know what, let me, I'm going to follow up with you. Get back with you, Chuck.
Okay.
Okay, we've got. And Mark, yes, I can answer that question. We can send that to you. Well, I think we can all probably hang up now. Thank you all for attending. I hope it was informative. And thank you, Chuck, for being on here and answering those questions. I'm going to leave the chat open. So if we want to hang around and still, you can still chat back and forth questions, and we can, get your questions answered. But I think we can all go ahead and hang up. Enjoy your day. Thank you for attending, and we will talk to you all later. Thanks, Chuck.